Hi, I'm Shauna, and this is Daniel.
Hi.
And the other day I was talking to Daniel about how I wanted to do a video about the games I used to play when I was a kid and what I play now. And he decided he wanted to do it too. Are you ready?
I don't know how to put a list like this in order because it's not like, it doesn't feel like you should put your favorite game at the top. Maybe you should put your favorite game.
Your favorite old game or today game?
That's the question.
I put them in order from what I used to play the most as a kid. Is towards the top of my list. Is the top of my list. But a lot of them I play pretty much the same, so it almost doesn't matter.
The number one is probably the one that I tried to play the most as a kid, but couldn't get people to play with me.
Well, that's fair enough.
I'll start off with my number 10 is Checkers. Is a game I played all the time when I was a little kid. And I used to play with my great uncle. My dad worked at a junkyard, we used to call it, or auto salvage yard. And it was a family business. And my great uncle would sit in the lobby with his checkerboard and we would play all the time.
So sweet.
But and Checkers is I think Checkers is a decent game still, but I would rather play Yinsh now. Yinsh is a game.
That is such a good pairing.
Yeah, because you're hopping over pieces, and you're not capturing them when you hop over them in Yinsh. You're just trying to get. You can flip them over to your color, and you're trying to get 5 of your color in a row.
Yeah.
I'm assuming everyone's played Checkers at some point, but I'm putting this at number 10 because Checkers is still a game we own, and that I played with my 4-year-old when he was 4 years old. He's 5 now, and he got the concept, and he's not really that into board games. I forgot how good of a game Checkers is for young kids, especially. And I know adults play it and they play it real seriously, but especially for young kids, it's a really fun game to play. So it's at number 10 because I'll still play Checkers, especially with my kids. But if I was playing with adults, I'd play Yinsh instead.
Yeah, I love Yinsh. All right, so my number 10 is really going to be hard to explain because it's a game that my dad invented. The only thing I could think to call it was baseball marble game. So he was always had these projects and he was always coming up with games, like outdoor games or indoor games. One game he built was this wooden box that had these like levers on the side that would shoot a marble into the box. And there was a baseball field essentially in the box. And so one person would like fire the marble, and there was a little baseball bat that you could like release and try to hit. It was a little baseball game, my marble baseball game. I hope my dad still has it so I can take pictures of it. Yeah. Okay, here you go. Are you ready? Here we go. Uh-oh! Oh, I got another out. Let's see if I can get a runner on base. It was pretty epic, and we played with it a lot when we were kids. And the game that I'm pairing it to, it doesn't really play the same way, but I'm pairing it with baseball highlights because that's a game that we play now, and it's very baseball themed. It takes the idea of the physical baseball game and puts it on a board, which is what my dad did with his marble game. But it's very different. It's a card game, and you're building a deck of cards, and you're trying to build your team to defeat the other person's plays. So the person across from you is going to play their card and try and do a double, and then you can try and like negate that with your cards. It's really fun. It's one of the first modern games that we bought, and it's just kind of a great game. It's a great game. So that was my number 10, baseball highlights, and my dad's crazy invention.
That's a good one. My number 9 is a game we played a lot as a kid, and I'm sure everyone has, Jenga. And
these are really good. I never really played these games.
Oh, we played that all the time.
Great.
And setting it up was always a pain in the butt. And then you know, especially if you knock it over like right away, then you're like, oh, do we really want to set it back up again? But it's a game you can play with kids. It's another easy game to teach someone how to play. And so instead of Jenga, I would rather play Ice Cool.
Oh,
Ice School is also
love
good with
penguins.
kids because kids love the little penguins, and you can introduce different elements of the game. Like you could just play that you're shooting the penguins to get the fish. You don't worry about the cards if you don't want to. And kids get older, you can go up. Kids can do it. Sometimes the kids are better than the adults.
Yeah.
So it's a good substitute. It's easier to clean up and set up. And yeah, if you
That's really
you can
good.
get it at Target. Usually, well, you can probably find Ice School at Target. I know we found a copy at really cheap somewhere.
I think it was like $8 at Target.
Yeah, so
It's a great game. If you find it, you should
yeah
go for
if
it.
you have
Just
kids,
go for it.
just
It's
buy
so
it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 9, again, sorry with the strange games, but it's a game I call Sliders. I don't know what my dad called it, but it was like a laminated board that he made. This is another one of his inventions. It was really long and it was super smooth and shiny, and we would roll these like marbles that had these plastic discs.
Oh, he
around
didn't
them.
invent that.
He didn't invent that.
No, that's a thing.
He made his own though.
Yes.
He made it out of scratch. So he didn't invent it.
Yeah, but yeah. I know
But
what you mean.
he concocted it.
Yeah.
He built it. And so we would play that. And it was like there's a blue line and a red line. If you got past the red, you would get so many points. And if it went off the edge, you lost.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. So I paired this with Crokinole, which is I guess that's not modern either. It's just
very
a
old.
better version of it. And I only recently learned it and was introduced to it through our game group. So that's why I associate it with more modern board gaming, because it's new to me. So Crokinole is my new thing that I play in lieu of my dad's Sliders board.
Yeah. And we would play it more if we had a board.
Yeah.
Someone on our game
Maybe
group has a
someday.
nice one, so we play that one.
Maybe we can make a table. Crokinole table.
Just has a permanent Crokinole board.
Yeah.
But what would you do with the little pegs that stick up?
Just play Crokinole on it.
So number 8, a game we used to play a lot as a kid was Sorry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the game I would rather play instead of Sorry that gives me a similar
I
feel.
never played Sorry.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know.
Even as a kid, I wasn't a very old kid when I realized that Sorry doesn't give you options, because you pull one card and you have to use that one card. And you can choose which piece to assign that card to, but you don't have a ton of options. I remember being a kid and changing the rules so that we would have a hand of 3 or 4 cards with my sister, so that we
clever.
could make more options, make more choices.
You're such a gamer.
Yeah, even before I knew, I was like, this game is broken and needs fixed. But now, Sorry has a lot of take that element. Sorry, I knocked your piece off the board, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but a better game, I think, is Blokus or Blokus. This is a game you can find at
Interesting.
Target. You might look at it and say that's nothing like Sorry, but you are playing on the board against your opponents, and you're trying to get as many of your pieces on the board as possible before the space runs out. And so while you're trying to figure out how to get your pieces on the board legally, you're also trying to block your opponent so they can't put their pieces. So there's some take that, but without being like too aggressive, in a way that kids don't get upset. Like
Yeah.
it's less painful than in Sorry, like to take that, but it's more. It gives you more options. There's no luck in it really. There's a lot of spatial awareness, and it's a good-looking game. And if you like Sorry, if you kind of like that like interaction with others when you play Sorry and stuff like, buy Blokus. You can get it mostly anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's good for the whole family.
Yeah, I really like that game too. Yeah. Good pick. All right, my number 8 is poker. And I know that sounds bad, like I was playing poker when I was a kid, but this was more when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
I really got into Facebook poker. That's how I learned how to play, like really play. And I really like learned, how it goes.
All right.
And even though it sounds really lame, like you could kind of get into that bluffing. You still got that bluffing feel from it.
All right.
So anyway, I play
Everything that's
poker
wrong with
a
the
lot.
video game industry.
I play poker a lot, but the game that I like to play now is Ponzi Scheme.
Yeah, that's
Because
better.
Ponzi Scheme is about doing Ponzi schemes. And it's about taking loans that are going to... You always explain this better because I don't really understand investments and loans. But basically, you're taking loans out that you're never going to be able to pay back.
Promising investments. You're taking investments. So
yeah,
you get a chunk of money, and then every so many rounds, you have to pay out what you promised to pay out to those investors. And if you ever go bankrupt because you didn't make enough, your Ponzi scheme collapses. But really, what you're doing is you can buy and sell chevrons to other players.
That's
with blind
where
bids.
the bluffing comes in,
right?
Because everyone has these bad loans, and nobody knows
loans.
Or investments. Everybody has these bad investments that they're gonna have to owe, and if you get to the point where your investment is due and you have to pay back, then the game's over if you can't pay it all. So everyone's limited with the amount of money that they have. You have these blinders and you don't know what everyone else has. And you have this little pocket that you put cash into, and you offer people money for their chevrons, which are actually the points that count at the end of the game. And so you're trying to get people to give you your chevrons, and you're offering them money because you never know if they're going to need that money to get to the next round. I'm making this sound really complicated, but it's very much a bluffing game, and I love it.
When you offer money for a chevron to someone else, they either have to buy it from you.
Yes.
They either have to take your money and give you the chevron, or they have to match what you gave them, so that they buy the chevron from you. So it forces you're forcing the other player to exchange something, either points or money.
Right.
And so that's where the bluffing comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's a fun game. It's an interesting game. Other than the bluffing part, it doesn't feel like poker, but I kind of get what you're saying, because in poker, you put money into the middle. You're a bid. And sometimes it's a bluff. It's like, well, I'm going to put this money in. Are you going to match me?
And a lot of the times that's where the fun of poker is. If you keep putting the money out, people are going to assume you have a good hand, even if you don't. And that's kind of what's going on in Ponzi Scheme, where if you keep telling people, you're going to, buy their...
chevrons. They assume you have a strong...
No, what they do is they offer you money, and they think that you're going to sell their chevron because they think you need money. And... if you're like, no, I'm not gonna...
we talked about this game way too long.
You
like the game. I appreciate it.
Okay. So anyway,
interesting choice.
I wish I could explain it better because I like it so much. I feel like...
All right, so what number are we on now?
7.
Oh, 7. All right, so I don't know if you guys play Farkle, but I see this game everywhere. It's like a tube of a bunch of dice.
Yeah.
It was apparently it was first.
Had that one.
Yeah, 96 was when it first came out. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't a little kid anymore in 96, but I remember being a teenager and my relatives playing this game, and I wanted it to be cool, but it's never quite. I don't know, it's boring. So instead of Farkle, what you should buy is a game called Las Vegas, or the latest edition was just called Vegas. And they did sell this at Target, but it's not in Target anymore. It also has a bunch of dice. The theme is you have the cards that you put out with a certain amount of money that you can win. They have like a casino theme to it. So you have like 1s and 2s. And so when you roll your dice, you can choose to take, say, all your 3s and put it on the number 3 tile. And then after everyone goes around, once you roll your dice, you have to choose one of the numbers you rolled to put out. So when everyone's out of dice, you see who has the most dice on any particular number, and then they win all the prize money out of that one.
Ooh.
So
I've never played this.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The rules are, I would say they're slightly more complicated than Farkle maybe, but once you start playing with other people, it's smoother, and there's less downtime for everyone else. It is, if you like Farkle, you're gonna like Las Vegas or Vegas.
My number 7 is Gin Rummy. My dad always played this game with me, and I just remember afternoons sitting with him and him teaching me how to play, and we just, I don't know, it was really cool. I liked playing that a lot, and it kind of gave me my foundation for my poker days. But anyway, the game that I like to play now is Arboretum. Do you see the connection? Like where you're connecting?
I was never
It's a little bit more
Arboretum's harder than
abstract.
Gin Rummy.
It is, but I get the
It's
same.
more card counting.
Yeah, it's more card counting if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like Arboretum.
I like Arboretum, but I feel like I'm very focused on making those runs. Like you're trying to.
Yeah, that's true.
You're trying to get
Does
your
have that
runs
element.
out on the table, and you collect them, and you make pathways of like the same family of trees.
It does have a lot of similarities to Gin Rummy now that you say it, and I never thought of it that way because the gameplay is so much better than Gin Rummy.
It does.
It's shorter.
It's very intriguing because you're collecting your sets, but you're also paying attention to what the other person's collecting. So you want to hang on to what they might need so that they can't make their path.
And you can only score the path if you have
the scoring's what's tricky.
the same amount of. So if you're thinking of a deck of cards, like if you're thinking of a suit, they're not really suits in this game. They're different types of trees, but it's the same difference. So if you don't have the most cards in your hand at the end of the game of your suit, you don't score that path of that suit that you have. So someone else might be holding on the high card of that suit just so that you don't score your suit, even though they don't have any in front of them.
Yeah.
So it has that whole thing. It is much better than Gin Rummy. You're right, it's very similar. And if you like counting cards, this game also lends itself to it. And there's a lot less luck in this thing.
He got tired of beating me. I'm actually bad. I'm really good at Gin Rummy. I'm bad at Arboretum, but I still like it. I get the same pleasure.
If you count cards, you will definitely have an advantage over.
Yeah, especially if you play 2-player. I feel like if we played with more players,
It's
it would
harder
be
to
more
count
dynamic
cards.
and wouldn't be such an easy win for
I
you.
like that you count cards, though. I like that that's part of the game. So my number 6 is a game I played a lot as a little kid. And I used to get so annoyed when I played kids. I feel like this game more than any other game kids would cheat at other little kids.
Aw.
What are you gonna? Do you know what I'm gonna say?
Is it Monopoly? Oh.
It's not the game I was gonna say.
Oh,
no.
sorry.
Battleship.
Oh.
I love the theme of it as a kid. I love the little pegs that you put in.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And the game that is like Battleship but good as you get older is Captain Sonar.
Yeah.
Because you're in a sub and you have a captain and you have a first mate, you have different parts, and everyone on the one team, there's 2 teams, everyone on the one team has a separate job. And so the captain's saying where they're going, they'll say like A3 on a grid. No, they don't. That's Battleship. Sorry. The captain will say which direction they're going.
Yes.
Are they going north or
south.
south or east or west? And then everyone does checks. And then there's a radio operator who's on the other team who's listening to that, whether it's north or south. And then you have a plexiglass sheet where you're drawing black lines over a grid and you're trying to figure out where they are on the map.
The other team.
By tracing around the islands. Right. And so that person's listening to the other team. And when you think you might know where the enemy is, that person will tell the captain, and the captain will ask the first mate if the torpedoes are ready or not. And if the torpedoes are ready, then you can launch the torpedo. The captain says, "Stop, we're launching torpedoes." You can launch torpedoes so far away. But if you're not within range, the captain might not be able to launch torpedoes until they navigate their sub and chase down the enemy sub to be able to get within range of torpedoes.
Okay, I think you're getting to the weeds too much. Basically, it's a team game. You can play up to 6 or 8. 8 players.
8 players.
8 players. So it's really unique that way. You have the different positions and it's real time.
It's real time.
And like you're trying to like communicate quietly.
It can be turn-based.
It's really
that,
fun.
It's better real time.
It's very interactive. You kind of feel like, yeah, I'm on a submarine. It's fun.
So Captain Sonar, but it's much harder to play. Like Battleship's a 2-player game and Captain Sonar is not. But once you play Captain Sonar with a good group, Battleship seems hollow.
So, my number 6 is Dutch Blitz. This is a classic game.
Play that all the time.
What
could possibly replace Dutch Blitz, Jonna?
One of the few games, and this is a game I still play.
It's sitting right there. Yeah.
My family played it. His family played it. And apparently there's like you guys played it on a different level than my family.
So slow.
We're just really enjoying ourselves. These guys are like out for blood. Anyway, the game that I'm equating it to is very different. However, it is real time. It gets your heart pumping. It's a a cooperative game called Flatline.
Invalidated. That's not. Dutch Blitz is you know, you're out to get blood, like you said. You're out to beat your opponent.
It's different, but it's real time. It's like
it's not cooperative.
Fast speed. It's not
it's
cooperative.
It's the real time game. That's the only similarity.
So I thought it would be a good, like, I get the same enjoyment out of it. So anyway, Flatline is a game where you're working as a team to save patients on a ship. That's basically going down, and you have to roll dice and match patterns together to resolve these different puzzles on the board. So it's very fast. You only have like 60 seconds, 30 seconds per turn to work together and do it. It has that scrambling type feel that you kind of get with Dutch Blitz, and it's not quite as bloodthirsty.
Listen, it's a great game.
It's not, maybe it's not the best pairing, but I thought it was not too bad.
Flatline is a great game. Don't get me wrong, but it is not a replacement for Dutch Blitz at all.
All right. Okay. He doesn't agree.
It's a garbage pick.
It's a what?
What are we? Number 5? Mm-hmm. All right. So everyone's played Clue. It's a classic.
Oh no.
Right? But then there's a problem when you start getting older. You realize, oh man, I got to roll these dice just to try to get from room to room. Why are we rolling these dice to get from room to room?
So frustrating.
It doesn't make any sense. Why is this useless part? So anyways, what you should be playing instead of Clue is Sleuth. Now, Sleuth has been around longer than I've been alive, but I didn't know about it when I was a kid. And Sleuth is an old card game. It was first published in 1971. Where it takes what you want Clue to be, and it takes out all the rest of the stuff. So it's a very
all the dice.
Distilled deduction game. And you're trying to figure out which gems are in the middle of the table. Everyone else has all the other pieces, just like in Clue, where everyone has
a clue, has
some of the cards in their hand, and then there's a set in the middle that you're trying to figure out what that set is. Same thing here. With some other rules about you have cards that you play that let you ask questions of other people. So you can't just ask any question. You use these cards you pick up to ask your questions of a specific people. You can ask
like of a shape or
like show me all your blue, show me all your, you might have a card that says show me all your blue gems, something like that. It is more difficult than Clue. To deduce what's in the middle, slightly more complicated, so it's not good for young kids. But if you like that feeling of Clue, like you like that trying to figure out what's in the middle part, then pick up Sleuth, because this is a good solid game. The thing about it is the way the game works, it just so happens that the more people you have playing, the more difficult it is. And not because they changed the rules. It's just the way it works out mathematically. So if you're trying to, you can play with like 7 people, but it'd be hard to figure out. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. You should check it out.
So my number 5 is a game called Horse Trader. This is a very unique game. I don't know if you've ever played it.
Do you guys own that game still?
Yeah, I think my parents still have it. It was very unique. I didn't know anyone else that had this game. If you played Horse Trader when you were a kid, let me know in the comments, because we're like family, basically. Horse Trader is a game of puzzling. There's 4 puzzles. There's a summer, fall, spring, and winter puzzle, and they all have a horse on them. It kind of looks like bad calendar art. And so all the puzzle pieces are jumbled together, and you each get an allotted amount randomly, and then you have to try and build your puzzle before everyone else. And the only way that you can get the puzzle pieces that you need for your picture is by trading with other people. And you can do commands like hold your horses to the left, and everyone has to trade 1 piece to the left or to the right, whatever you prefer. Or you can just shout out a trade like anyone want to trade 2, anyone, and that's how you get your pieces. And you're just trying to get that puzzle made. And sometimes people will like hold your piece, your one last piece, so you can't make your puzzle. Depends if you're playing with your sister or your mom, I guess. So that's Horse Trader. And the game that
That sounds like an interesting game, by the way.
It's
I've never
super
played
fun.
it,
We
but-
spent a money a day playing Horse Trader. So, Horse Trader, if you can find it, you should try it. It's a great game. But the game that I play now that I really enjoy is called Number 9. It's an abstract game where you have these Tetris-y number-shaped pieces, and you're trying to score points by layering the pieces on top of each other. And the way that this works is you're not trading with other people, but a card is flipped and it'll say, it'll be a number, and then everyone pulls the same piece out of the box and everyone has to work with that same piece that turn.
We played Chutes and Ladders a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember playing Candyland too. And I remember being a kid and I remember liking matching the card picture with where I was going.
Oh, yeah.
So Candyland and Chutes and Ladders, I realize, are not the same game. Mm-hmm. But the game that replaces both those for me is Cartagena.
Oh,
Cartagena is a game where you have pirates that are trying to get to a rowboat, and you're trying to get all your pirates to the rowboat before everyone else, and then the boat will leave.
Yeah.
But you have cards that match symbols that are on your path, so it might be an anchor or rope, and when you play, say you play a rope, then you can choose one of your pirates to go to the next rope picture. But if the next rope picture is covered by another pirate, either yours or another player's, you skip it and you go to the next rope.
Yeah.
This is a fun game, and we all know that Candyland is 100% pure luck. All right, it's a garbage game, and Chutes and Ladders is pretty much the same. So you should be buying Cartagena to play with your kids. Mm-hmm. It's a better game.
Yeah.
It's not expensive, and it can be fun for adults. It has a clever way to to regulate the length of it too. So because the paths are tiles, and so if you just want a shorter game, you just play with less tiles.
Yeah,
the distance
it's not
to the
like
boat.
a fold-out board. It's very workable that way.
You need to check this out, especially if you have fond memories of playing Chutes and Ladders or Candyland.
It doesn't bore adults.
No, it doesn't
and
bore
it gives
adults.
kids choices, but it's still very simple.
Right.
So my number 4 is the game I used to play when I was a kid. We would play a lot. Was Junior Monopoly. We didn't play the real Monopoly because
Simpletons.
it was too long and too complicated and too mean.
All right, so what do you play now?
So Junior Monopoly, the reason it's different, I don't know if you ever played it.
Yeah, I played it once.
It's just shorter and you don't get kicked out.
Right. Which is a
that's
better
the only thing.
that you don't
So
get kicked out,
so it's like everyone gets to play. That's what a game should be. So anyway, so Junior Monopoly, the game that I play now, I know you're gonna probably argue with me. It's a stretch, but I think of Concordia because you are
For Junior Monopoly?
Yeah.
Because Junior Monopoly is for kids and
Monopoly
Concordia
or
is
Junior
not.
Monopoly. Well, I'm saying, like, I'm an adult. This is what I play now.
Okay,
and it
fair enough.
reminds me of it. Like,
Fair enough.
you purchase or you work to get different locations, and then you get rewarded when people land on there.
All right.
Right?
No. You get rewarded when people choose to harvest that region.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
You don't even know what you're doing.
Well, it reminds me.
Okay, no, but I see what you're saying because
like,
you claim like a land, you claim like a city, and then
But you definitely get rewarded. Like you don't only get rewarded by going to other people's places.
No, there's regions, and then if someone chooses to kind of harvest that region, all the cities in that region get the benefit. So someone could have a trading post in the city where you're at, but they might also just have trading posts in the same region as you.
Right. And you're collecting
Concordia is
different...
a good game. I agree that this should replace Monopoly.
Yeah.
But
It's not a huge connection. It's a pretty big jump, but...
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking of it more like you like claim a place and then you get resources from it. Sort of thing. So I guess that is a stretch because a lot of games could fulfill that. But anyway, I pick Concordia because that's what I play now and I like. So
this is going to be the most controversial pick ever because people who are into this game don't like to be reminded that there are other games out. I loved playing chess as a kid. And I started playing chess in first or second grade.
Oh, I know what you're going to do.
And I loved it because so many games we played as a kid had so much luck in it. And chess has no luck.
Yeah.
And has more strategy than checkers. You really run into a problem quickly where because there's absolutely no luck in it, and because it's a game that hasn't been solved, I'm not going to claim that, but it sort of has been solved. Like, I remember being a teenager and learning some moves that I just knew enough
But certain people you could
that
beat
I could
easily.
beat the average, the average person pretty easily, just because I had a couple like pocket moves and that I knew
I
of.
remember my cousin Jared doing that to me.
And it's not that I was really that much better. I just memorized a few things. Because some people that are really into chess are like really into chess, and to say any other game might replace chess is a heresy, right?
Heresy.
But recently we bought The Duke, which is an abstract game
I thought that's
that have
what you were
pieces that have different
going
movements. This game is worth playing. You pull pieces out of a bag blindly if you choose to, if you want to muster more forces. And then you have a piece that can move in a certain way. Once you move that piece, you flip it over because the tiles are big and square and they show the movement right on the tile of what it can do. So when you move it, you flip it over and the movement slightly changes. So the piece won't be able to do the same movement 2 turns in a row. It's very, it gives you that like feeling of an abstract game, like a chess or a checkers. But the way the movement's designed, really makes you think differently. If you're thinking like chess and you start playing this game, you mess yourself up because a lot of the pieces, they're always oriented in a certain way. So a piece might be really good forward facing, and unlike chess, where if you get behind a piece, it doesn't really matter because all the pieces can move fully symmetrically. And this they can't, so they're weaker. If you get behind them, it can be hard. Anyways, The Duke, you should check it out. This is another game I think it's fairly easy to get.
Yeah, I found it at Barnes & Noble's.
Right.
This past Christmas.
And it's not that hard to start playing it. You can't, if you were to like memorize what all the pieces do, that would be a stretch, but you don't have to because they make the game easy to get into. This is definitely a game where you get better by playing it more. Like chess. And a lot of people that play chess, they like that about it, that the more you play it, you can get better at it. And you can still do that in this game. But there's that variation that you can't just, like I would do, open with the same 3 moves every game and just beat people that didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, that's good.
So
cool. Okay, so my number 3 is a crossover because he picked Clue as a game that he played when he was a kid. I played Clue a lot, but unlike Daniel, he liked the deduction
I know what you're gonna pick,
it.
and it's another garbage pick.
It's not a garbage.
You're gonna pick Mysterium. Another cooperative game replacing.
You're gonna wake up the kids.
Another cooperative game replacing a.
Okay, but this is much better because what I liked about Clue was not the deduction. If I had Mysterium to play when I was a kid, I would have played it all the time. I like the story. I like the characters. I like the idea of these Colonel Mustard and Scarlet. She's so hot and all, the weapon and the mansion. I wanted to know what happened and always let me drive. There was no story there, but I liked playing it because I liked imagining the different characters so Mysterium is the same story as Clue. There's a murderer, I should say, and you're together having a seance in a big mansion, and there's these different characters that could have done it. There's a weapon in a room, and you're trying to figure out who did it and with the weapon in what room. But it's done in a very visual, artistic way, and there's also this aspect of all against. Well, it's all collaborative, but there's a ghost, and then there's everyone else trying to guess the clues and trying to figure out the puzzle, and the ghost is giving the clues. Mm-hmm. So that's a super fun aspect. It's just everything I wanted Clue to be.
No, you're right, though.
So much better.
I recant my words. This is a really good pick because Clue can go 2 ways, like you said. I remember being a kid and liking the board of Clue. They have a good Clue. The original Clue still, even by today's standards, has good pieces. All the murder weapons are actual little pieces, and the board's good artwork. The cover's good artwork. And if you're
fun figuring out the mystery. Like
right, and if you're going to go that way with it, Mysterium is very much like Clue, but an actually...
Yeah,
but
and
a better one.
It has none of the deduction in... Well, it does a little bit because you're trying to figure out the ghost's clues because they give you clues only through these very mysterious images, and the ghost will, like, maybe there'll be like a red cloak in the picture that the ghost gives you, and maybe you have to try and figure out which person has something to do with red or whatever, and it's very... Like, you really have to pay attention to all the details.
It's a language independent game, too, which is helpful. This is very much more a family game compared to Sleuth, where Sleuth is more older kids.
Because we even played this with Evelyn.
Yeah, we played this with very young kids.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and
it's a great game.
I recant my words.
Yeah.
It's a very good pick.
I know, I knew I was going to win you over.
The game I probably spent the most hours playing in my entire life. Like, I probably spent more hours playing this game than all other games combined, even modern board games. And it's not really a board game at all. It's a video game.
I knew it. I'm like, you're going to break the rules. It doesn't count.
I played
a video game.
Many hours playing Lord of the Rings Online. I started playing when I was out of high school, and I played it on and off for years, and they record how many hours you play so you can look it up, and it's way too many hours I've spent playing this game. But it gave me the this like escape into a world that I wanted to play in, and it was well done, especially for the time, and I could play with other people that also enjoyed this cooperative nature. It's got like the role playing aspect that I liked. But it's weaker. That part's weaker. What do I do now? I play D&D instead.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Spirit Island.
Nope. No.
I would totally agree.
Spirit Island is like, yes, I like Spirit Island. I feel like that sort of is replaced. But D&D is a game, we get together, we play with people. It's more role playing because it's actually in person. That's more the point of D&D is role playing. Even though they're called online role playing games, RPGs, role playing games, the role playing part is separate. It's more not really part of the game.
Not really, yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are getting into D&D now. It's kind of like this new wave of. I think there's probably more people that play D&D than are really into the hobby board game industry.
When we went to PAX, the random people that we talked to were all playing D&D.
Yeah.
There was very few there that were just for board games,
right.
Which
board games were sort of like, oh, we'll check it out.
Interesting. I was like,
yeah,
cool. All right, everyone's playing D&D.
Yeah.
So my second pick is Scattergories. I played this with my sister and her friends a lot. So Scattergories, I don't know if you played it when you were a kid, but
yeah, I played it a little bit, but I didn't really like it at all. So
yeah, it was like you had
I really didn't like trivia
a category games. And you had to fill in as many words and then you would score it.
Yeah.
So the game that I play now, and I wasn't good at Scattergories because I was actually okay. My vocabulary was okay, but my spelling was terrible. So sometimes I would write a word down and wouldn't know what it was there. It was terrible. But anyway, we played it a lot. Now I like to play Codenames. It's another word game, but and I know Daniel doesn't really like it. It's okay. I don't need your approval. So Codenames is a team game. It's often called a party game. I find it to be more than a party game because everyone has to really participate and be involved if you're going to play. But there is room for those to kind of spectate if not everyone wants to play. But anyway, the point is there's two teams and each team is trying to find their secret agent or secret cards that they're supposed to get through the clue giver. And the clue giver will do this by giving you like one category and then a number. So there'll be like sky 2 and maybe there's the word airplane and the word like pollution. out on the table, and so then you would pick those and be like, oh, it's these two, and they'd be like, yeah, those are the clues, and then you mark them down. So anyway, it's a different type of word game, totally different environment that it creates, but that's the word game that I like to play now.
Game I would want to play so often and could so rarely get people to play with me because, let's face it, it's not that good of a game, is Risk. I wanted to like Risk, but even when I played Risk, I knew it wasn't good. You always had those times when you had 3 units on a territory and they would just hold off an onslaught from like 20 other units just because someone rolled badly or whatever. So if you want to play a game where there's dudes on a map, you know what game you should be playing is Blood Rage. Blood Rage is a great game because it has fun miniatures.
That's not the reason it's...
Listen, I'm going through the list of things that are great about it. You put them on a board, which if you're used to playing Risk like I was, and you see this board, you're like, man, this board is so simple. There's only, I don't know, there's less than 10 territories to control. How can this be such a good game? But then you realize how great it is because before each age, which there are 3 of, you draft cards that are basically your powers or what you can do. So these powers will make your tribe better, or they might help you fight better. They might help you recruit monsters to put on the board. And it makes the game much more strategic, much more thinky, and when you battle someone else, the battle system is, which I was skeptical of because I was like, don't you need some dice for battle? This game is...
Nope.
No, this handles battling in a better way. I thought it would be like too predictable how the battles would come out, and it's still not predictable because of the powers that everyone has.
Yeah.
This is a game where you may not always want to win battles to get points, and so the options aren't just win a battle to win the game or lose battles and lose the game. It's not that simple. It's more nuanced.
Yeah.
And when I first started getting into gaming, it was right when this game came out. When I first started buying a lot more games for our collection. And I almost didn't buy it because of the cover. It looked like some bad 80s rock band or like 90s hardcore rock band. I was like, this seems
not
juvenile.
Like us. It's not our style.
It seemed juvenile. But I'm so glad I bought the game because it is one of my favorite games.
It is really good.
Well made. It's really well put together. And definitely there's just no reason to play Risk after you've played a game like this.
Okay, I have one more.
I'm sorry. I thought you went first.
That's okay. But mine is really lame because when I was a kid, I used to play Pictionary. And I love this game. It actually highlighted something I was good at as a kid, which was drawing and doodling.
Pictionary.
Yeah.
I do.
And I still play it. I'm sure there are other games that have that drawing component in, but Pictionary is such a great game. And I still play it. So it's on both my list.
Is this an anti-pick?
Yeah, I was just like, I don't have anything to replace it with.
Oh, Jana.
So Pictionary is my future pick.
We got rid of our copy.
Play it. We did?
Yeah. But that's okay because we never actually played with Pictionary rules.
Yeah, we don't have it.
Because Pictionary rules are kind of lame where you have to go to a spot and you're trying to get around the board.
That makes me sad.
Because the way we really like playing Pictionary is where you just
research. Yeah, where you just go around.
Yeah. A homebrewed version of Pictionary.
Right, because it does have a lame board aspect where sometimes you can get stuck for some reason.
For dumb reasons.
Which is dumb. But the idea of drawing and trying to get your friends to guess what you're doing has always been fun. There are other games that have that, but there's
a game where you're drawing a picture and you're passing it and people have to write what you're drawing. A lot of people like that game.
Yeah, that's definitely a party game.
I don't like Pictionary. It's a little quicker. You know what else is a classic game that nothing really replaces? We were just talking about this the other day. Good old fashioned charades. Charades.
Charades. Yeah.
Not all old games.
Charades.
Some of my games are pretty old games.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are really good, like Horse Trader.
It just seems that for whatever reason, a lot of the mass market games are pretty bad.
They're pretty lame. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of luck in them. It takes away your
They're not like movies.
like ability to do anything and to really feel proud of winning.
Right.
And a lot of
Or they
times when I
swing
was
the
a
other
kid,
way.
the games that I played just made me feel inadequate or like, oh, I just never get ahead or, you know.
And some of the games go the other way where they're like all trivia, and so unless you know what you're talking, like, why are there so many trivia games out there? It's so lame.
We should wrap this up and just say that we have always been gamers. We've always played games.
Yeah.
And it's so great that the games that we play today just like make you feel so good and
they're fun.
Yeah, and they're
happy.
fun. And it was fun for me to remember all the games I did play as a kid, and that like you had really different ones than me.
I had a bunch more that I had to narrow it down to 10. I thought when we first did this list, I thought I can't think of 10 games I played as a kid. But there's so many. I didn't even put Piggly Wiggly on, or I didn't get the Monopoly.
I know,
or
we would play
Payday,
we would play
Wife.
Uno. We would play Spoons. We would play Phase 10. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our list. What are some of the games you played when you were a kid?
Yeah.
I think it would be really fun to hear from you.
Yeah, what are the games that replaced those games?
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.